My story is going to shock you. Make sure you watch this video to the end. Hi guys, my name is Excellence Madoka. I am a life coach and an ex-campus cultist. Well, I've come to tell you my story of how I survived being a campus cultist. God helped me, God delivered me, God gave me a second chance. But this is how it all began. At the age of 6, I was sexually abused by my house help. Growing up those days, my parents will, go to work. My mother was a petty trader, so she will always go to her place of trade. My father will go to work. And I and my younger ones, or my younger brother, was left alone with this housemaid. Now, every time, I discover at that age, and this is one thing that will never leave my memory. Each time I close my eyes, I go back, I think about that, very act that this young lady will always do to me at that very tender age. She would take me, especially when she's beating me. When she's beating me, she'll begin to fumble with my private part. At the time, I began to enjoy it. But you see, this went on and on and on and on. Though she warned me not to tell my parents, but I didn't see any need to tell my parents because already I've started enjoying it. I've started enjoying this act. Now, other older women began to also abuse me. Then I now discovered that the spirit of immorality has eaten deep into me. That at the age of 13, I'd already started patronizing prostitutes. I would go from one prostitute house to another prostitute house. I became addicted to pornography. When you come to my room, all over my room, under my bed, you will see pornographic materials. Not by this time when, phone, but you see, I got myself so many pornographic materials, and each time I watched this pornography and I began to masturbate, and this thing ate deep into me. So I began to, have this sexual urge for every woman that I see. Every woman that I see, I will look at them as if I want to grab them and, and sleep with them. And this thing became, it became part of me. I didn't only get myself addicted to pornography. I didn't only get addicted to masturbation. I also got addicted to alcoholism. I began to take so many alcohol at that tender age. At the age of 16, I'd already started going to nightclubs, parties with some of my friends. We sneak out of the house while my parents are asleep. We sneak out of the house, we go to parties and come back very late. Now, one thing I remember most, when my father saw some of these, traits in me when I wanted to enter secondary school, I really desired to just leave, but my father did not allow me to go to a boarding house. He didn't allow me to go to it because he wanted me to, stay under his watchful eyes so that he would be able to, monitor me. But he couldn't because he's not always there. First thing in the morning, he leaves for work, comes back very late while we're almost sleeping, or better still, at that night when we sneak out, because he's not always there. My mother will always go to, to her place of where she sells, and they are not always there for us. So over and over and over and over and over again. And that was how I began to live the kind of life that I lived. So it was like a seed. A seed was sown inside of me from that tender age. I began to experiment so many things. I began to smoke. But one thing I discovered that, I made a lot of street friends. A lot of street friends that, had almost similar character with me. We all sit down, steal our parents' money, we go to drink, we go to parties, and all this and all whatnot. By the time I finished my secondary school, at a sitting I made all my paper. I had very wonderful results. And this time around, I wanted to go to the university because I've had so many stories about the freedom that people, enjoy in the university. In the university, a university is a community of its own. where nobody will wake you up, where no parents will tell you what to do or what not to do, where no housemaster will tell you what to do or what not to do. So, I longed for that freedom. I longed for that experience. So when I took my first jam, the first jam that I took because of the course that I wanted to study, I did not meet up to the cutoff mark. By the time I took the second jam, yet I did not meet up to the second, I didn't meet up with the cutoff mark. Then I decided to leave. I grew up in Lagos, by the way. I spent my life in Lagos. My parents, they worked in Lagos. We spent almost all the time in Lagos. So I needed to leave. So I came down to Port Harcourt. I went into the University of Port Harcourt. And that is how, I began to mix up with, several men that were in court that I didn't know. Now, what was I doing in University of Port Harcourt? I wasn't a student then. I discovered there was a course, they said it's a remedial course. Now, that remedial course is a preparatory course. It's a preparatory class for JAM, where I'll be in school, I'll be preparing to take JAM. So I dived that opportunity. I came down, I came down to the university, and immediately I began to mix up with so many young people. I began to mix up with the so-called happening guys on campus. But you see, when I began to mix up with these guys, I began to discover one thing about them that I longed. I'll see you on my next video where I'm going to share to you how I was initiated and the process of my initiation. But until then, remember, like this video, subscribe, and comment. I would like to hear from you. Stand out, don't blend.